Thank you, Mike. My name is Matt. I'm an addict. I was kind of hoping Mike would talk a little bit longer so that I could come up with something to share about. Yo. I hate to be cliche, but gratitude is like the one thing over the past week that has been recurrent with me. Not so much in my thoughts, but just kind of in my feelings. Gratitude for not just this program, but for all of y'all. The more that I continue in my recovery, the more I realize you guys are my family. I had an addict text me, I guess yesterday, and she said that she was sorry that she wasn't going to be here to come and share. And I'm like, well, it's cool. I'm thinking you're not going to get rid of me. And I told her that she is my predecessor too, Randall, your sister, because Randall and Brenda are family to me. Debbie's family to me, Mike's family to me. All of y'all, I don't want to keep on going down the list because we'll be here all night. You guys are closer to me and more involved with my life, than my blood family. And this is a we program. I have leaned heavily on a lot of y'all, not just with staying clean. Yes, learning how to stay clean, but learning how to navigate life, learning how to deal with these feelings that, all of a sudden the substances are out of my body, and a couple weeks go by and I start to feel all kinds of different stuff, and it's uncomfortable, right? What you guys have taught me is how not to run away from that. And what those feelings teach me is what to do with my present situation if I listen to them and talk to you guys to find out what the hell they're saying. That's why I used drugs. That's why I used substances, to change the way that I felt inside. That's it. It wasn't to celebrate or any of the outward appearance stuff. For me, it simply boils down to changing how I'm feeling. That's what I was seeking. I don't have to do that today. So for those of y'all that don't know me, my clean date is either October 17th or October 18th. I was having a conversation with my wife a week or so ago, and she said, "You're counting that your clean date is the 18th now? I thought it was the 17th. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, for a long time you were like, it's going to be the 17th because that's the last day I used, and it was the 18th because that's the day you were clean. I'm like, I don't know. All I know is that on the 17th of October, 2017, that was the last day that I used. I count my clean day today as October 18th. And that's for no reason other than a coin toss. My clean day would have been March 31st, 2017. My wife and I got clean on the same day. And on October 17th, just a little bit past 6 months, I picked up again. I'm not going to say that I relapsed. I understand relapse to be not an event, but a process that culminates in a using event. So I spent the better part of a year, 2017, 2018, looking at what that process could have been for me. I don't have an answer for that today. And that sometimes scares me a little bit. I am aware of the things that I did differently. I've heard it said in the rooms that it's better to not look at where we fell, but where we slipped. I know what day I got high on. I don't know what day, or if there was any day during that period leading up to that where I had recovery, or whether I was just not using. Fortunately, my thoughts aren't occupied with that a whole lot today. Things that I changed immediately when that happened. I started sharing less and trying to listen more. I say trying because my brain is still all over the map. I failed to leave my phone in the truck, and I'm distracted. But I try to listen at meetings. In my active addiction, I talk way too much. I guess some could say I like to hear myself talk. I don't know that I enjoyed that necessarily, but I did it all the time. And that's something that I changed. Anytime that I had a thought of using, not a desire to use, but a thought, I would call somebody and tell them, hey man, I'm thinking about getting high. And invariably, no matter who it was that I was calling, they all told me the same thing: don't do it. And I haven't had to. It's amazing to me that phone call, even if in times where I wasn't experiencing a desire to use, left me feeling better than before I made it. And I still try to do that today. But I've applied that to other areas of my life. When I'm pissed off about whatever, and I'm frequently pissed off. There's guys that, yeah, y'all know. And a lot of times I don't realize how my attitude affects those around me. But when I'm upset, I call somebody usually, and you'll know if you're on the receiving end of that call, because I won't be talking about anything in particular other than just I'm fucking pissed off. And I'm pretty sure I'm a selfish guy with that. If you're on the receiving end, it's usually I'm going to wear you out for 2 or 3 minutes and be like, all right, I got to go by. But I do that today, and that helps me. Not because I'm afraid of getting high over being upset. But I don't want to be upset. I don't want to feel that way. And talking to you guys helps. That's doing something besides putting a mind or mood altering substance into my body to change the way that I feel. I do that when I'm sad. I do that when I'm happy. And maybe it's just me. Sometimes I feel like, the other end of the line is like, gotta go by when I'm excited about something positive. But that's the way it works. I always struggle with what to share about on an anniversary. I'm told that I should share my experience, strength, and hope. My experience, what it was very dark. The last time I used it wasn't so much an outward manifestation of addiction, like not having money, not having a vehicle, not having my freedom or civil liberties. It was a spiritually dark place. It was incredibly sad. And I never want to experience that feeling again, ever. Previous to that, I did have all of the outward appearance stuff. Sharing a vehicle with my wife that was it had a tag on it. At least it had a tag, I guess. It wasn't. I don't think it was the tag that was registered to that vehicle, and I don't think it was current. It didn't have insurance. That was pretty unmanageable. I have gratitude for my higher power for not having any major setbacks as a result of that, and being able to grow out of that situation. Fortunately, the power was never shut off at my house because I had dogs and a 6-foot privacy fence, and Lakeland Electric, if y'all didn't know, is not supposed to go into the yard. If that's the case, they will shut the water off though. And I think about the insanity of this disease. It's like my wife and I lived on a fairly heavily traveled street in Lakeland, and one day we were walking down the sidewalk with it, like y'all know the turkey pots, the big 5-gallon pots that you fry turkeys in, right? We're walking down the sidewalk carrying this thing full of water from the end of the block, and one of the guys from my church pulls up past us. He's like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And I'm like, "We're just getting water back to the house. Water's off, man. Gotta go." And he still reminds me of that today. He's like, "Wow, y'all have come a long way." I'm like, "Yeah, but we have power." I haven't had that problem in a long time, 5 years. I haven't had the lights turned off in 5 years. I haven't been in jail in over 5 years. Maybe, no, I haven't been in jail in over 5 years. I have gotten tickets, and I didn't go to jail. That's a blessing. I wasn't worried about what they could find in the car if I got pulled over. Perhaps maybe a little too exuberant about that, because I told him, I said, "Well, hey man, if you're going to write me a seatbelt ticket, the lights on the trailer aren't working. There's no tag on the trailer. Like, this dude's not wearing his seatbelt. Sorry, Mike." They gave him a ticket too. Sometimes the flip side isn't. Sometimes I don't have to be that forthcoming with law enforcement. My experience after getting clean was pretty foggy for a good minute. I couldn't figure out how to spell the word nephew for a while. And that's when I kind of had a little bit of an awakening and realized what substances were doing to my brain. I had a 9th grade reading level when I was 6 years old, and I couldn't figure out how to spell nephew. And I thought it was funny. So that's, again, what substances did to my brain. I believe that there's permanent damage from the drug that I chose to do and chose to put into my body. But I slowly started to come out of that fog. I can spell nephew today. That's a blessing. It doesn't have a U in it. I tried. I couldn't figure out where the U went. I thought when I was in my active addiction that it was somehow possible to have a relationship with my higher power, and use and live that way of life. And I didn't just think that. I actually believed that with all of my being. And some wild shit came out of that. One of the consequences of my using was a trip to One South at Lakeland Regional. And when I finally got around to reading their report, it said on there, amphetamine-induced psychosis with religious preoccupation. I thought that I was Jesus, and couldn't figure out why people weren't doing what I told them to do. I'm like, y'all got to obey my commands, guys, and they weren't having any of that. Looking back on that today, I cannot. I never want to experience that again, and I don't have to because of this program and because of you guys. My experience in Narcotics Anonymous after getting clean. I joined this home group, I think, about a week after my wife and I made our initial decision to get clean together. And I got a service commitment right away. I think in about 60 or 90 days, the home group elected me secretary of the home group, and was gracious enough to allow me to keep my service commitment during and after my relapse. I got involved with other service in the fellowship. First with H&I, going to the Mary Lyon Center, taking H&I presentations there. That was a big component of the first couple years of my recovery. Beyond that, the only thing I can tell you about my experience is there's only one word that describes it, and that's the word ineffable. And I looked up the meaning of that word. It's the something of great enough strength or power or effect that it cannot be expressed in thought or word. I struggle with trying to tell you guys how this program has changed my life. It's not that it hasn't. I can't find the words to describe the miracle of this program. I don't have to use today. That's a miracle. I have a wife that I have the ability to choose to try to be a better husband today. She's listening, so I got to choose my words carefully. I have that ability. I have a beautiful daughter who's crazy as hell.
Gets that from.
I have a relationship with my parents. It's been I'd say my relationship with my parents is not like the pink cloud ideal of getting the get back that I thought was going to happen getting clean. And a little backstory on that. You know, I had a very supportive household that I grew up in. You know, my parents were both present in my life, very present, gave me attention, probably too much, did stuff with me, you know, all around like typical American, you know, middle class family unit. But there were a lot of unhealthy dynamics that entering my recovery, I recognized and decided that I was not going to entertain. So, it's, you know, we have a great relationship today, but it's a very limited relationship. You know, and I would like to see that in the next year or so develop into something with more fullness. You know, another gift of recovery is, of course, I have employment. When I got clean, I was basically unemployable. And I applied at a lot of freaking places, man. Like, I really put some effort into the whole getting a job thing. And thank God, you know, a good friend of mine asked me to come to work at Bonnie Apartments as a maintenance guy, even though he drove me fucking nuts, and that was short-lived and that was a sucky job. But I was able to start a business and grow from there. I have lots of gratitude today. I got lots of gratitude for that guy. Like, I tell him how much gratitude I have for him, and he doesn't understand. He's like, yeah, it was a shitty job, bro. Sorry I even turned you on to it. I'm like, well, you know, it was a big deal to me. And it's a reminder that the smallest things that we do can have the biggest impact sometimes. I'm going to keep coming back, not only because I don't want to get high, but I want to continue to grow. This year I want to work on having a better attitude. I want to work on being more present for my family and less present at my office. I enjoy coming to meetings today. I don't feel like I have to. I want to. I encourage anybody that's in early recovery to commit to going to 90 meetings in 90 days and embracing that fully. It seemed like a grind to me in the beginning with that, and hindsight's 2020. Looking back on that, that was like some of the most fun I ever had in my recovery. Getting to know you guys and doing stuff after the meeting, going out to eat, going to lunch, whatever. You know, I encourage that. Another thing that I did a couple years ago, and when I shared, only because I can't figure out what to talk about when I share on my anniversary. As I sit in the meeting quietly, right, I typically try to write down things that, I say write, I type it into my phone. I try to write down stuff that you guys say that makes a lot of sense to me. Because I'm going to forget that shit. Like, you know, my brain is partially fried and way too full of a bunch of useless crap. And I don't want to forget things that are meaningful. I've already shared on a few of these things, but you know, these are some takeaways for meetings over the past year. As long as I can piss y'all off, I ain't got to look at me. I'll get high tomorrow. I think there was a lot more that went with that one, but those were both Randall, by the way. Procrastination occurs when I put off tasks that I should be focusing on right now. When I procrastinate, I feel guilty that I haven't started something. I come to dread doing it, and eventually things catch up with me. We can only reason to the point of our understanding. I can be a victim of the circumstances that I create and then hold you guys accountable for it. I'm a lot further away from the last time I used than I am from the next time I might use. If I let a using addict in my house, there's a good chance they might leave with some of my stuff. If I'm not living on the edge, I'm taking up too much room. I don't have to go out of my way to act like a sociopath today. I don't have to agree with you to support your right to talk when it's your turn. A defect is just a skill used poorly. The common denominator in all my offenses where I hurt other people is that I was manipulating them. I haven't seen anybody too dumb for this program, but I've seen a bunch of people that are too damn smart. My name is Madam an Addict. I have a lot of gratitude for the weekend wind down, for my service commitments, and for having today clean. Thank you.
Thanks.